On Christmas night, 1996, a little girl went to bed in her own home. By morning, her body was found in the basement. The ransom note demanding her return, written on paper from inside the house. December 26, 1996. 5:52 a.m. Patsy Ramsey races down the spiral staircase of her Boulder, Colorado mansion and finds 3 pages of handwritten paper laid out on the floor. She starts reading. "Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We have your daughter in our possession." She screams for her husband. Their 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét, is gone. John Ramsey calls 911 at 5:52 a.m. Patsy can be heard in the background, hysterical, barely coherent. Police arrive within minutes. They read the ransom note. It demands exactly $118,000. That's not a random number. That's the exact amount of John Ramsey's recent Christmas bonus, from his computer company down to the dollar. The kidnapper knew intimate financial details about this family, but here's where everything starts to unravel. The note is bizarre. It's not a typical ransom demand. It's 2.5 pages long, handwritten. Most ransom notes are short, rushed, printed to avoid handwriting analysis. This one rambles. It references movies. It warns John not to contact police or speak to a stray dog. It's signed by a group calling themselves the SBTC, Victory. Nobody has ever figured out what those letters mean. The police begin their investigation, but they make critical errors from the very start. They don't secure the crime scene. Friends and family are allowed to move freely through the house. Evidence is contaminated. Footprints are walked over. Surfaces are touched. Within hours, the mansion is filled with people, all unknowingly destroying potential clues. John Ramsey is told to search the house for anything unusual. At 1 p.m., more than 7 hours after the initial 911 call, he goes down to the basement with a family friend. He opens the door to a small wine cellar room, and there, on the floor, covered with a white blanket, is his daughter. JonBenét is dead. Her mouth is covered with duct tape. A cord is tied around her neck, fashioned into a garrote with a broken paintbrush handle. The paintbrush came from Patsy's art supplies in the basement. Her wrists have cord loosely tied around them. John picks up his daughter's body and carries her upstairs, destroying crime scene evidence in the process. A detective attempts to perform CPR, even though it's clear the little girl has been dead for hours. The autopsy reveals the horrifying truth. JonBenét died from strangulation and a massive skull fracture. Someone had hit her in the head with tremendous force, cracking her skull. The medical examiner determined she was alive but unconscious when she was strangled. There's evidence of sexual assault. Her death is ruled a homicide. The question that haunts investigators is simple and terrifying. Who could have done this? The ransom note becomes the center of the investigation. Handwriting experts are brought in. The note was written on a pad of paper from inside the Ramsey home. The pen used to write it, also from inside the house. It was placed back in its holder after the note was written. Think about that. Someone broke into this home, murdered a child, wrote a 2.5-page ransom note using materials they found in the house, then carefully put the pen back where it belonged. There's a practice note, too, found in the same notepad. The killer started writing Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, then stopped, tore it out, and started over with just Mr. Ramsey. This person took their time. They weren't rushed. They weren't panicked. They were in this house long enough to make mistakes and start over. The handwriting analysis focuses on Patsy Ramsey. Some experts say the handwriting shares similarities with hers. Others disagree. It's inconclusive, but it's enough to make her a suspect. The Boulder police begin to focus their investigation on the family. They believe this was an inside job. An intruder theory seems impossible to them. Here's their reasoning. There's no sign of forced entry. The ransom amount matches John's bonus exactly. The note is written on house materials. The body is found in the basement, suggesting intimate knowledge of the home's layout. A basement window is broken, but John claims he broke it months earlier when he was locked out. Spiderwebs in the window well appear undisturbed, suggesting nobody crawled through recently. The Ramseys and their son Burke are the only people known to be in the house that night. The media frenzy is immediate and brutal. JonBenét's pageant photos are plastered across every news channel. Images of this little girl in makeup, elaborate dresses, and styled hair shock the nation. People are disturbed by child beauty pageants. They question what kind of parents would put their daughter in this world. Conspiracy theories explode. Television pundits debate the case nightly. The Ramseys are tried in the court of public opinion before any charges are filed. The Boulder police are convinced the family is involved, but they can't prove it. The district attorney disagrees with the police theory. The case becomes a political battle between law enforcement agencies. Evidence is mishandled. The investigation is chaotic. Leads are followed incorrectly or ignored entirely. In 1999, a grand jury is convened. They hear months of testimony. Evidence is presented. And here's what most people don't know. The grand jury voted to indict John and Patsy Ramsey on charges of child abuse, resulting in death, and being accessories to a crime. But the district attorney refuses to sign the indictment. He says there isn't enough evidence to prosecute. The public doesn't learn about this grand jury decision until 2013, when the documents are finally unsealed. But what about the intruder theory? Despite the Boulder police's certainty that the family was involved, there's evidence that suggests an outsider. Unidentified DNA is found in JonBenét's underwear and on her pajama bottoms. It's male DNA. It doesn't match anyone in the Ramsey family. It doesn't match anyone in the police database. A boot print is found near her body that doesn't match any shoes owned by the family. A flashlight is on the kitchen counter that the Ramseys claim isn't theirs. There's a suitcase positioned under the basement window as if someone used it as a step to climb out. Some investigators believe an intruder entered through the basement window, hid in the house waiting for the family to go to sleep, then attacked JonBenét. They theorize the ransom note was a diversion, written to misdirect police and buy time. The excessive length of the note? Some experts say it's consistent with someone trying to stage a kidnapping that never happened. Over the years, multiple suspects emerge. A man who played Santa Claus at a Ramsey Christmas party becomes a person of interest, but dies before he can be fully investigated. A teacher who once gave JonBenét a Christmas card is investigated. A man who confessed to the murder in 2006 while living in Thailand is extradited to the United States, but his DNA doesn't match. He made the whole thing up. In 2008, new DNA testing technology analyzes the evidence. The Boulder District Attorney officially apologizes to the Ramsey family and clears them of any involvement. The DNA evidence points to an unknown male, but by this time, Patsy Ramsey is dead. She died of ovarian cancer in 2006, never knowing that her family would be officially exonerated. John Ramsey continues to fight for justice for his daughter. The case remains open. The DNA is in the system, waiting for a match. In recent years, genetic genealogy has solved cold cases that were decades old. The same technology used to catch the Golden State Killer could potentially identify JonBenét's killer. John Ramsey has publicly called for the evidence to be retested using modern methods. Nearly 30 years later, we still don't know who killed JonBenét Ramsey. Was it an intruder who spent hours in that house, crafting an elaborate ransom note before committing murder? Or was it someone closer to home, staging a kidnapping to cover up a terrible accident or crime? The ransom note written on paper from inside the house remains one of the most analyzed documents in criminal history. Every word has been studied, every letter examined, and still, it keeps its secrets. A little girl went to bed on Christmas night in her own home. She never woke up, and the person who killed her walked away, leaving behind only questions, a bizarre ransom note, and DNA evidence that has never been matched. Until that DNA finds a match, the murder of JonBenét Ramsey remains one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries.